Are we finally ready to talk about True Detective Season 4, Episode 2? I'm Abby with MotorCityNerds. Like, share, comment, subscribe. I know we've been doing a lot of Dark Tower talk with it over on social media. I'm on OF. I'm on TikTok. I'm on all the things down below. Please check them out. It really helps me out. Like the video, please. It really helps out small creators like me. But yeah, I lost my original notes. I had to redo them. And let's just get right into this because I got some stuff to say. And I can't believe I'm saying this because I know we all think we're like, oh yeah, True Detective. No, I figured it out. And I'm going to tell you guys in this video, that'll be the end of it. And if you don't want to hear it, then I'm going to tell you guys when, but I'm telling you, I think I figured out this entire season. Now, just to rub it in my mom's face, I kind of called this. I said to her in the first episode, before anything, I said, I guarantee you there's going to be 9 or 7 victims of these scientists. And at first we thought it was 8. And then we find out at the end of the episode, one of them's running around and one lived, but technically there's still 7 victims. Now, if you've read Harry Potter or anything else, 7 is the most powerful magical number. Just for funsies, let's throw that in. We got the Carcosa symbol on the head. Weird, strange, odd. Now, remember my orange and blue theory? Okay, the darker the orange and the more prevalent it is, the higher up in this cult, for lack of a better term, I'm going to call it, or group. And we're going to get into that in a minute. But the lighter the blue, the more innocent the character is and or spiritually connected with themselves. Does that make sense? Like the brighter or lighter the blue is, the closer they are to that spiritual realm / innocence. That's my thing. Now, with the darker blues and things like that, I feel like they are on the border of like we know something's going on and either we are turning our heads from it. And what I mean by that is they know there's something shifty going on. They might not know all of it, or they do know all of it, and they're choosing to turn the other way. Remember, this mine, this lady, this money owns this town. So somebody owns the police, too. And if you notice, at the crime scene, they're all acting a fool. And I've been calling him Frank, his name's Hank, but he is kind of in the middle of everything, and they're taking pictures, and Jodie Foster's character's like, stop that, what are you doing? And they're like purposely jacking up the crime scene. It's like obvious. And then there's this whole debate of like, no, we're going to keep it. We're not giving it to Anchorage. And I mean, this might be a stretch, and I said it on TikTok. She has a line where she says, they can take this thing to Anchorage. Okay. I wouldn't have Jodie Foster say that. I wouldn't want anything too on the nose from Signs of the Lambs, but it's my fave, so I'm going to say this. Is that supposed to be a nod to take this thing back to Baltimore? But then she does decide to keep the case. There's a whole bunch of weird stuff going on. Some clothes are folded, but they're not all there. We find out later. That is a real thing of people going panic in hypothermia and like taking their clothes off or thinking they're warm. There's a name for it. Pete says it. And remember that Pete is very, very involved. He really cares. We have Mary show up, the older lady who saw Travis. And she tells Navarro to go home. Don't deal with this. Don't deal with it. Somebody, my friend Pete on Facebook put me in this direction of, I'm going to pronounce it wrong, the Dyatlov thing that happened. And the second he said it, I was like, oh my God. And that was in those Russians were in the snow, like doing some hiking thing. And they didn't find them. And then when they did, they were all frozen to death. But their tent was cut open from the inside. And everything was weird. And they never figured out what happened to them. I definitely think he's right. And there's a nod to that here. When we realize one is alive, it's like, oh, snap. And I think that, again, is a nod to The Thing. I brought it up in my review, but I cut it because it was the only movie that was super prominent in the bookshelf. And then I watched The Thing, and there's a lot of stuff that's similar to that, obviously. But I talked about this on TikTok. What if this guy is the one that starts passing it around, kind of like in The Thing? But I don't know what that is yet. And like I said at the end, I think you're going to be surprised at what I have to say. This guy is way high up in the group because he's the one indoctrinating these kids, I think. Look at these. What does it look like? What's going on here? Oh, the center of the earth? Oh, the mine is digging down there? The scientists are digging down there? And what are they looking for? The fountain of youth, essentially? Something that could stop all diseases and all this craziness? This old organism? They're looking for this old thing, right? Also, remember that thing that Darwin drew? Does this look a little similar to that, maybe? Now, I think they want us looking in that direction. I think they want us looking at it like, oh, supernatural, and I don't think any of it. I think it's all BS. And they just got all these people believing it. But he's high up in the group. He's wearing super dark orange. He's indoctrinating these kids in somehow. And I'll get to it. We find out, and I kind of liked this. Well, I did like it. The fact that they have an older actress banging on camera. Hell yeah, they never have that representation for older women. But we find out that Jodie Foster's kind of sleeping around the town. But then I'm like, there's like 30 people here. But I'm going to say this. I feel like with a lot of it, she might just want to do it too, and good for you, but she's getting info. She's using sex in a way that Navarro doesn't. Navarro uses it in a way to get out her frustration and likes that power over a man, while Liz, I think she's playing people and getting info and is like, whatever. So we get I'm going to say this for my Dark Tower people, the quartet is forming that I've been talking about. But when Mary and Navarro are talking and she says, Travis gave me one last gift, meeting you. And now she's going to carry on this thing that is also connected to Rust. When I say quartet, that is from the Dark Tower series, it is your group, your crew, but by fate. Like, there's no choice. When Ka wills it, it happens. It's a thing. And so I'm like, ah, snap. And that's a theme throughout all these seasons, especially the first one, though. There are no coincidences. There are no coincidences. You were brought into my life because of Travis, who's a connection to Rust. Mary starts talking crazy. She starts talking, well, not crazy. She starts talking about the fabric tearing in Ennis and how it's a old place, but whatever they're doing is older. It's closer to the spiritual realm than anywhere. And the dead only come to you for 3 reasons. They miss you, they need to tell you something, or they want to take you with you, and you need to know which one it is. And throughout this episode, we get those messages for the characters that are seeing that. Navarro, when she's in the car, what song comes on? Oh, and it's you and your sister's jammy? I'll tell you what I want, what I really, really want. So tell me what you want, what you really, really want. Her mom is trying to tell them something. So we know she's not trying to take them, she's trying to tell them something. Repeatedly, we bring up in their conversation between Mary and Navarro is that they don't, or that the sister can't sleep. I don't sleep, I only dream. Okay, Rust, and that's going on. Then we bring up the symbol again. We bring up the Carcosa symbol, and Mary immediately is like, I know what that is. This is something old. This might be older than Ennis itself. It might be older than the ice. I don't want to get into too many Dark Tower connections, but I was wrong about the polar bear. And here, I'm going to tell you guys some stuff. Now, in the Dark Tower series, now I'm doing a huge video connecting both of these, The Dark Tower by Stephen King and True Detective, the entire series. I just didn't know where 4 was going to fit in, and I panicked. That was going to be the big video I posted at New Year's, and then I panicked because I was like, I got to wait for season 4. Let me tell you guys something. You know how the mines digging down into the earth, the scientists were, blah, blah, blah. They're looking for the Fountain of Youth, right? This is from the Dark Tower. Now, there are beams that are protectors for each realm. It's the multiverse, and each one has a protector, right? Long story short. But I'm going to read this to you. Shardik was built by North Central Positronics, the mysterious company which was part of the Imperium thousands of years prior to the events of the Dark Tower series. Shardik was known as Mir by tribal groups who once lived in the woods of his domain, which in their language meant the world beneath worlds. Shardik's functional longevity, this is a 70-foot fearsome bear that's lived for millennia. Functional longevity is most likely due to the internal nuclear power source. That's different, but it lives forever. Stay with me. Shardik is the name of a 1974 fantasy novel written by Richard Adams. It concerns a hunter who pursues a giant bear he presumes to have the power of a god. After learning the name of the Guardian, Eddie Dean, that's in the Dark Tower, tells that the name reminds him of rabbits, and it's also used in Watership Down. But anyway, giant bear, right? Here, let me hit you with this. All right, so each of the animal guardians, they're protectors, they're good. They have these little sayings with them, right? You guys want to know what Shardix is? See the bear of fearsome size, all the worlds within his eyes. Like I said, multiverse theory in the Dark Tower, but this polar bear's got a jacked up eye. This polar bear, I believe, is the guardian, the protector of this spiritual thing that they have there, and is telling the correct people, you got to get on this. They're desecrating whatever or doing whatever. And I just thought that was interesting. Also, where the beam is, technically on the planet of the Dark Tower, is pointing, if it was our Earth, it'd be pointing directly at Alaska. I'll put pictures of this up. I was just saying, I think I'm wrong about the polar bear. I think it is a bit more spiritual than I thought. Back to the episode. We have the cops. It's a total boys club. Once again, they're trying to take the case from Jodie Foster. She's like, no. Then we find out that this captain appointed her there specifically for nighttime, 30, 60 days a night, figure things out stuff. She was purposely put there, and she throws that in his face. Then she brings up, you guys are messing up all these bodies. This is not how we're supposed to handle bodies that have been frozen. We got to do the right thing. And that's when we get to her going and meeting the woman who owns the ice rink, who's the big, big, bad woman with all the money in this town that Navarro pissed off and all this stuff. We meet her. We find out Jodie Foster slept with her husband. I kind of loved that. What color's her scarf? It's dark, but it's orange. Okay? Jodie Foster asks her, can we use this for the crime scene? We need to do this, this, and this. She's like, yeah, sure, whatever. Before that, we have Hank come up. And I thought this was really interesting because I took skating lessons. I'm from Michigan. We can all just naturally ice skate. It's a thing. But she's like, yeah, your son's Pete's got to get in on this private skating lessons for my sons. And you might think like they're 5. No, they're like teenage boys playing hockey. Also, totally not about private skating. She says, oh, there's a lot of good money in it. You should tell him to do it. And he's like, I'm going to try to knock some sense into him and tell him. And she's like, yeah, for a father that's new, blah, 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 blah. Hell no, that ain't about skating. That is about a bribe. That is about, will he be on the take? Is he going to be smart about it? We'll get into more of that with the dad. Is he going to be smart and go on the take, or is he an enemy? That's what that woman was saying to Hank about Pete, not anything else. It wasn't about no skating. We bring in the bodies. They're covered with an orange tarp. Weird. Strange. All this orange. You could just say it's the school colors, but orange is there a lot. And I think it's around bad people and bad things. Now, Jodie Foster is like, Navarro, get the F out. And she shows her the picture of the Carcosa thing. She's like, I don't know nothing. Now, I think people are really misinterpreting Jodie Foster's character. She has no problem with their culture or anything like that. And when I get to the end, you're going to hear more. She's afraid for Navarro. She's afraid for Leah. She's afraid for them because she knows how they are. And she knows they might put their nose up in the wrong place and they might get hurt. So she's playing it off. She's definitely playing off disliking Navarro, and she's playing off the tribal stuff, and I'll tell you why in a bit. I guess I can tell you this part now. I don't think her husband and kid passed away in no car wreck. And I think she probably knows that. She's a cop. I think that they were in a car wreck. I think that the car was wrecked and they were in it. I think she knows what this town does, and I think she knows what they're capable of. And so she has stayed there to look over them and be a pseudo-mother to both of them. It's not out of anger, and it's not out of dislike. It's to protect them, and she doesn't care if everybody hates her for it, kind of like Dolores Claiborne. Oh my God, another Stephen King reference. Shit. We keep getting shots of all the dogs panicking the whole time. Something's up. Dogs are freaking out, but you could just say because it's night all the time. But I don't think it's that. I'm going to hit you guys with something here. We have the fight in the bar, and they're yelling like, you poisoned the kids, and you know it, and you're okay with it. And they're like, we keep jobs, we keep it open. We pay for the school, and the miners and this guy are fighting. Notice this with me, guys. None of the miners are drinking water. We keep saying it's jacked up, right? We're thinking, oh, because it's by this mine and you're poisoning. No. There's something, they're Batman Begins in the water. There's something in the water. And these miners know not to drink it. And that brother of Annie keeps offering her that beer. And I don't think that's because of anything other than he's like, I know we do something to that. And I think maybe it could be attached to this cult. And maybe there might be traces of LSD and meth in it. Kind of like Dora Lang and everybody else in season 1. We find out this guy's freaking out and that guy's freaking out. They got the tattoos. We see their weird meth writing journals and houses. I'm thinking there's something in the water and it's that. So we think they're fighting about like some basic natural thing, and it's not. It's something more than that. They're literally poisoning the water. We got Pete and Jodie Foster in the ice rink looking at all the case stuff. Pete starts talking about this killer, this and that, and she's like training him. I really love the references to Cole of her saying you're not asking the right questions, blah, 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 blah. This is when they talk about taking the clothes off, and I thought it was interesting that Pete also brings up a polar bear. And then when he hits you with the how scared you have to be to run out barefoot on the ice, it's like, okay, what was going on here? Pete's really on top of that stuff, like the forensic part of it. Okay, back to the water thing. Who else doesn't drink water ever? That schemy rat boyfriend. He's a rat. He's a rat. He owns the bar. He's got the homebrew. Either the homebrew is full of drugs or the water is, but someone's got drugs and something. And he's a rat. He's a sneaky rat. I don't think his dog he's like messing with the dog. That dog is whining and whimpering and barking at him all the time. All the dogs don't seem to like him if you notice. Then later on in the episode, he's just eavesdropping. He's pretending to be on her side. You can tell he's like, shit, she's onto something. He's like, oh, the Nook. And he's eavesdropping and going to that bar and giving all that information over. That's exactly what he's doing. He's a rat. The dogs don't like him. He's playing it off like they got hurt. I don't think another dog hurt that dog. And he's a sneaky spying rat. And he's involved somehow. And he knows about the water or whatever or something in something. Because he don't drink no water either. And he's always defending the bar and whatnot. And he keeps Navarro close. And he keeps the sister close. When Jodie Foster shows the Carcosa symbol to the women at the crab place, they immediately call it a devil sign, but say they don't know it, but immediately start calling it. She's like, is it witch rival? And they're like, no, that's a devil sign. Have you seen it? And they're all horrified, but they refuse to say they have. They have. They totally have. We start hearing about the scientists. They're called weirdos. They're whatever. And then we find out that this Clark. I don't know why this part didn't go in and I didn't catch. We also find out that he was having a relationship with Annie K and got the tattoo after her and her passing. We'll get into it. Clark was having meltdowns and talking to himself, and we find his journal, and it's got all this crazy writing in it, and yada, 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 and he was off, and they were like, well, what did the others do when he started acting like that? And they're like, nothing, it was sad. Were you, like the thing, did you have something in you or wrong with you, or were you chosen to start drinking that water? Something's going on here, but I don't think it's supernatural. I think they want us thinking it is. We get Pete talking to the local delivery guy, and he straight up tells me, he's like, Pete, you've lived here your whole life. You know how it goes. Don't get involved. People go missing. Shut up. How do you not understand? tells Pete how Clark had that same symbol tattooed on his chest. And we already know it was tattooed on Annie K. They also repeatedly bring up that he's Irish. They bring up Dublin, they bring up that he's Irish. I'm super Irish. Something that us Irish are into is the magic and the other side and being close to that and respecting that and things of that nature and like folklore. And I mean, Halloween comes from Celtic tradition, so that it's very close to the other side. So I think there's a reason he was chosen for that. I already talked about Navarro and her car thing with her vision and the song playing, but she takes her cross off. And if you remember, she says she's not straight up like Christian or anything, but she likes it. It kind of sounds like Rust Cole to meditate, to listen. She goes and meets up with Bar Fight Guy. He says he sold it to his cousin, Travis. This trailer. All the Coles. You can tell when she says, no, you didn't like Annie, he kind of makes a face of like, you got it all wrong, but I'm not getting involved. I already gave you a big piece of information right here. And like I always say, and he's not wearing orange also. And like I always say, this show's not about being a cop. It's not about being a detective as your job. It's about who's going to do the right and just thing, who's going to be a true detective and follow their gut, who's going to do the right thing. And I think this guy did. I think that, like I said, I think that he's playing it off one way because he knows, just like Jodie Foster, this place is dangerous. We found out that it was sold for like 10 grand or something crazy, and it's like a Winnebago. Who thinks Hank is talking in code? At first I was like, is he getting catfished? Now, I'll tell you about the dad in a minute. I don't know if he was getting catfished, and he's like, I'm sending money. I think he's talking in code to somebody who launders money or something like that. There ain't no Russian bride showing up. He's talking in code to someone. He's on the take with someone, and I don't think he's involved, but I think he knows stuff goes on, and we are protected for a reason that I'll get into. Pete is barking up the right trees and the wrong trees at the same time. We get the name Tuttle dropped. And Jodie Foster's like, I don't know what that means. I don't know if she's playing that off or not. But she's like, what are they into? He's like, everything. Now remember what Rust Cole says in season 1 with Marty. I don't know how far up this goes. I know it doesn't just end with Tuttle. I know it doesn't. I know it goes past that. I don't know how far up to elites this goes. They got a crony. They got a lackey. They never got the big fish. And they're still out there. Hank realizes the files are gone, and what happened to his wife? She got killed. Something happened to her, but he realizes the files are gone, and he goes to the ice rink where Jodie Foster said, Pete, you have to go there. You have to go there and watch, because she knew somebody might come and try and jack this up. I don't know if the dad just came there to fight him, or if he came there to do something else more to the crime scene, and he was there already, and he killed 2 birds with 1 stone. Now, I think, with the way the dad's talking, he's trying to tell him, we're good. We're safe. Shut up. Like, stop. Like, trust me, I'm your dad. We're blood. Like, he does it in a jacked up way, but he's trying to protect him because he knows what's going on, but on a different way. And he's telling him, be smart. And Pete's not picking up what he's laying down. I think Pete's wife is an asshole. I think she's awful, and I think something terrible is going to happen to Darwin. Maybe he'll be offered up. I don't know. But Darwin, Charles Darwin, connected to the origins of life type deal, weird. My friend brought that up too, and I was going to talk about his name being Darwin in our first review, but I was like, nobody will care about that until she said it to me. She was like, yeah, Charles Darwin. They're looking at life. They're studying organisms. And I was like, I had it in there and I cut it out. I think something's going to happen to him, and I think she knows that, and I think she's going to elect for that to happen, or she knows something might happen, and that's why she's always yelling at Pete to come home and spend time with him, because she knows he might be gone soon. I'm really, really worried for Darwin. Like I was saying, Leah's got the marks and everything like that. This is just like when people didn't understand Logan Roy. And they didn't understand when he was making gay slur comments and stuff. It wasn't anything to have to do with like hatred. It had to do with other things. I'm not going to get into that right now, but Jodie Foster is doing that because, 1, I think Leo reminds her a lot of Annie K, and it scares her, and she's trying to protect her. 2, I think that natives are targeted. I will say the whole thing later, and she's like, God, please stop this. And they think, and she doesn't care, hate me all day. It's not that I hate your culture. It's not that I hate that she wants to learn about it. It's that I'm afraid for her for this reason. If her son was killed, and if her husband was killed for a certain reason, and she's pretending not to know, and they let her act, they think she's not knowing about it, why wouldn't she be afraid of that and going, okay, yeah, no, that's what it is. It's not hatred towards her culture or not wanting her to embrace it. It's fear of this town. Something's up with that wife. She ain't right. Something's up with that wife. And I think maybe she got indoctrinated in school. And she's a part of this too. We loved this. And my mom keeps telling me, shut up about Orange and Blue Ab. Shut up about Orange and Blue Ab. And I'm like, okay, suck it. Because when we see Leah in her room, that girlfriend's a rat. She's fully in the group or whatever. And if you notice, there's something similar between the girlfriend and Pete and some of these other people wearing orange and things like that. Not Pete, but there's a similarity here. But she's a rat. But if you look at Leah sitting there contemplating, she's in her room, blue, safe, it's bright, and then it slowly gets to a darker blue. Like I said, the darker the blue, the closer you are to the border of this thing, or you know about it, or you're involved in it. She gets the text from the girlfriend. She sneaks out to meet her. All of a sudden, we're flip-flopped. Now we're in all orange. That girl is luring Leah to something. That girl is luring Leah to be hurt for some reason. It's like with Navarro getting messages from her mom to tell her something. Jodie Foster is holding this polar bear, getting messages from, or trying to seeing her son. Now, maybe it's just a memory, but I think it's a little bit more than that. What is her son trying to do? Take her, misses her, or tell her something? I think he's trying to tell her something. I think he's trying to tell her something through Twist and Shout. I don't think we were too far off with that in the last review when I said, well, Twist and Shout can have a horrible connotation to it if you change it out of the song. Twist and Shout could mean a lot of things if you're being harmed. And I think that he's trying to tell her something. And I think they were murdered. Or Jodie Foster she had a feeling they were, but doesn't know for sure, and that's why she's so afraid. And he's trying to tell her, you're right, we were. Jodie going to bang this captain, right? That's a total play. She's trying to get info out of him. Look at the colors. I really noticed the bright green. That green looked really similar to a certain house in season 1, which was a way to find the killer directly. I don't know how I feel. This captain's not great. I just don't know if he's somebody who's just like, it's the chain of command, like in season 1, and you're still wrong, or if he's fully immersed. Because if you look at the bed they're banging on, the colors blend in together. They're not bright. They're not deep. They're like almost pastelish. So I'm like, okay, we're meeting in the middle here. Got it. Is he making a threat, or is he trying to keep Jodie Foster safe? Is he trying to scare her away from the case to keep her safe, or is it a threat? We call the tattoo parlor, find out about the tattoo with Jodie Foster. Navarro already found that out. She already talked with a sneak boyfriend who's eavesdropping and is running off to tell everybody involved in this crap that she knows about the Nook and the trailer. Navarro calls Jodie Foster, who's going through the weird meth writings notebook, and meets her at the trailer. Scene between Leah and Pete, and I really, really liked it. I don't know how much they were trying to say there, but I thought it was weird they were sitting in front of a bunch of dead bodies. I thought that was a little odd, but you can see these two really care about each other. They're like family. They do, and there's something sad about it. And then they start talking about, like, she's like, oh yeah, I remember my mom and dad, or Liz, Jodie Foster, and my dad used to dance. And then he's like, I remember when my dad was a musician and cared and all this stuff. And it's nice, but it's sad. And right before we get out of that and go back to the trailer, we see the bodies start to thaw some more. And I think they're just trying to say with that, like, this is getting going. It's happening. Again, I have wrote down, like, boyfriend is totally acting. He is totally acting when he's like, oh yeah, the Nook. And then, like I said, he's handing over all the info so that whoever can stay a step ahead. We see the trailer, totally Carcosaed out, crazy stuff. Annie K's phone's there. We have the Carcosa symbol on the ceiling. We have weird doll bodies. There's like almost something from every single season in this, and it's crazy, and it's scary, and it's weird. I think, just like Annie, Clark was chosen to start taking something or doing something to be sacrificed, or something along those lines. Or are these all offerings? There's skull heads, there's animal bones, there's all this stuff. Is that crazy drugs? Is that just crazy? Or I don't know. Or was this someone keeping evidence? Like, I don't know. We hear the crazy screaming. I don't exactly know where that's supposed to be coming from. I thought it was on the phone, but I'm not. I didn't know. I didn't understand that part. So if somebody could tell me down in the comments, that would help. But they go back to the ice rink and they find out, no, there's not 7 bodies here. We had 8 go missing. 1 survived, and there's only 6. So Clark is out there running around in the snow. We don't know where Clark is. That's where the episode ends. But I'm going to read you guys this exact text that I sent to my mom. And she was like, oh my God, Abbott, I'm calling my shot right now that this is exactly what's going on. The polar bear is a literal god guardian spirit, and it's trying to protect the ones that it needs, and it shows itself to the ones it needs to stop the desecration. They're poisoning the water. None of the mine workers drink water. They only drink beer. I think the boyfriend is shifty. He keeps trying to give Navarro that home brew. I think that meth and LSD from season 1 is involved with that. The darker the orange, the higher up in the cult they are, or whatever it is. The brighter the blue, the more innocent and closer to spirituality they are. The darker the blue, the closer they are to the borderline of the situation. They may know or think they know what's going on, but aren't participating fully in the cult or the poisoning, but they know something's wrong. I think they have these native kids getting indoctrinated early. Then they start to drink this water, or one person is chosen to. That's why they're writing all over the walls, and it's all crazy. That's why they're losing it. But I feel like they're making the native ones believe this is a creature of their culture, and that they are being sacrificed in a noble way to it. But really, it's just not any of that, like the village, and it's fake, and they're sacrificing these kids for the mega elite rich like Tuttle and his gang. But they think it's something good. But the natives see it as something good. They see it as something as a noble way to go out to this creature for their culture, but it's really not. If you look at Leah's room, it's bright blue on the bottom, dark blue on the top. The darker the blue, the closer you're getting to the situation and the group. Her sneaky girlfriend is in all orange, getting her closer into the cult. Every time she's with her, she's wearing more and more orange. She's also obsessed with Leah getting those tattoos from her native tribe. Why is she so into that? Because she knows she needs to get a native into that to get rid of her to hurt. Her girlfriend's a whitey. They're not the ones getting sacrificed. And that's also why the dad beats up Pete and is mean to him. The truth is he's trying to protect him and telling him to keep his nose out of everything because he knows it's something. But it's not their kids that get affected. They just have to keep it moving. I think it happens every time the sun's down for that amount of time a year. He's trying to protect Pete, though. He's like, stop. I know what's going on here. Well, I might not know, but I know we'll be okay. You'll be safe as long as we keep our noses out of it. And it's exactly why that white girlfriend is luring Leah away and getting her more involved in the cult. Because that girl is safe, too. Because they make these native people believe this is a part of their culture. It's some type of creature to be honored. A car crash did not kill her son, husband, or that is Leah's dad. What if she just came up on the car and they were dead in there? She would know if she was a cop. And we haven't seen the full thing yet. We've only seen a flashback. Maybe the wreck was staged, and that is why Jodie Foster knows there's something wrong here. The town killed her. She's trying to protect those other girls. She's doing the same thing to Leah by saying she dislikes their culture, but the truth is she's native and is afraid she's going to get sacrificed. So she's playing it off like she doesn't like it, but the fact of the matter is she does, and that's also why she's got Navarro put on troopers and acts like a jerk around her. But the truth is she knows how she is, and she doesn't want her getting killed either, and that's why she feels responsible to stay in Alaska. Her son wears bright blue. I think he was sacrificed. It's almost as blue as Navarro's uniform. The sister has bright blue hair. Navarro wears a brighter blue from her uniform than the other officers. Does that make sense? So these mega rich people are targeting natives, indoctrinating the kids early, and they're sacrificing. They think that it's something in their culture. They have them believing that, but it's not. It's not. It's for Tuttle and the mega rich, and there's some type of sacrificial thing going on, or to try and bring this, whatever they think, to life maybe, but I don't think any of that is true. I think they want us thinking it's a spiritual thing, but the truth is, no, it's these weird satanic crazies, and I think I got it. I don't know why certain things are cutting out, but they are. But I think the closer, it's almost like the Dark Tower, where the kids who shine, the Losers Club, Danny Torrance, like characters like that are targeted because they oppose and they're a threat to the Crimson King, or they give more power to him. So just like that, I think they do target natives, but they also target those who they think are the closest spiritually, or to the spiritual realm, or to this shit that Mary's talking about, where Ennis is a thin place, and I'm like, oh, the brighter the blue, the closer you are to that, and the Irish guy, like I said, so I think they're chosen based on that. I think I'm pretty close, at least, right? Does this all make sense? I'm Abby with MotorCityNerds. Like, share, comment, subscribe. Tell me if I'm right or wrong. Tell me if you think I'm on the right path. Because I think I am, and my mom was like, there's nothing that has to do with orange and blue. And I'm like, yes, there does. And the darker the orange, the worse they are, or the higher up they are. And they're targeting these native people, and they're specifically targeting these native kids. And if Annie Kay was involved in it, she might have thought her death meant something. And what if you're not the one chosen, but you're still in it? Why wouldn't that wife be in it? She might look at Darwin getting sacrificed as a good thing. I don't know, but there's something up with the water. There's something up with the boyfriend. There's something up with all of it. And yeah, I think Rust Cole's dad is the least shocking of all of it. Thing Abby here in the dark. What I meant and then I left out is that doesn't the Fountain of Youth kind of sound like something that rich people would really, really want, a rich elite would really, really want? Think of House of the Scorpion with the cloning. Think about Westworld. That sounds like something the elite would want. So like I said, I think they want us going supernatural, this and that, but I think that's how they're getting the native kids into this group. But yeah, tell me that isn't something the mega elite would want, is some living forever BS.